Hello, my name is Karina Epperly. I have decided that I will be releasing this Green Belt body of knowledge to the masses via YouTube in order to share this training deck with you to help you on your way to understanding. I will be available if you need to. I look at comments and I am interested in helping you understand the very basics to the more advanced topics in Lean Six Sigma. So we will be reviewing topics in not only Lean, but in Six Sigma and how they conjoin together to make it so that we can be very successful on the floor, utilizing these concepts for the greater good of our business as well as our advancement in our career. This training program is going to consist of several different tiers, from root cause analysis all the way to the ASQ Green Belt training program. Typically in a Green Belt program, you'll have Green Belt certification requirements. Because this is going to be a YouTube-only Six Sigma training course, I expect that you will do this on your own or with your own company. I would have loved to teach you this, but this again is only being offered in video format. I will try to use analogies as well as real hands-on training exercises, but I am limited as this is a video. Typically, you're going to want 4 hours of in-class training per week, 2 to 4 hours of project work per week, 2 to 4 hours of out-of-class study per week on the course material in the training guide and the training video, as well as the quiz deck that I'm going to show you in the next slide. I offer exams, pre-exams, and post-exams. You can get that if you want to email me. And we will review the toll gate process. Again, this is on your own. So if you want to really gear up and really understand these exercises, this terminology, this skill set, I recommend that you take part in some form of exercises on your own as well as on the production floor. I recommend the Green Belt primer through this Quality Council of Indiana. You're going to want to get the primer and the solutions as well as the CD. The CD will help you go through a series of quizzes, and it will also give you, it's multiple choice, and it will also give you the answers of when you are wrong. It'll show you what you got wrong, where to look up in the primer so that you can review that information again. These quizzes are not easy. They are challenging because the ASQ certification exam is very challenging. So let's go over the very basics. Six Sigma is divided into 5 different stages. There's a define stage where we're going to go out and understand what the problem is. We're going to identify and define the problem. We're going to form a team. We're going to establish the project goals and customer, internal, and external requirements. The first thing that you want to know is you want to make sure that what you're working on, the project you're working on, cannot be solved with one of the lower level tool sets. And what I'm talking about that is, can your problem that you currently have be solved with the basic tools of the 5Y, the Go See Think Do tool set, the RCA, the root cause analysis? Can you go, is this a special cause? Is this a one-off? Can we identify the multiple factors that are influencing this particular issue? If so, use a root cause analysis. The only time you truly want to use this methodology is when you have eliminated a lot of the special causes, including the repeaters. And repeaters are those things that happen that are special causes that have gone unresolved and therefore repeat in a consistent manner that mimics common cause. Okay? And you're going to understand these topics as we go through them if you do not already. So what we're going to do, we're going to go down to the production floor and we're going to identify the problem. Is this a special cause? Is this consistently happening? Okay? Define and understand customer internal and external requirements. Go to your employer, ask them, what are your expectations? What is it that you want this project to do? What percentage, what goal, to make sure that they're not only realistic, but that they can happen in a realistic time manner, and that you won't be pulled away from your project to do other tasks that is going to make this project go on the back burner. Okay? And that is one of the pitfalls of Lean Six Sigma, is that management wants you to do this project, but they're not giving you the time to do it. Okay? Use your CTQ, which means critical to quality, and develop a good business case. Truly understand the ins and outs of your project. Define the project barriers, the boundaries, the scope. What is in, what is out? What am I really trying to solve? If it's, I want to reduce the changeover time on product A on line 2 for, from 6 hours to 4 hours, make sure it's realistic. Make sure the time frame is realistic. Make sure, and this is the most important and key factor that you can control, make sure no other improvements are being done on that equipment while you're trying to do your SMED. Because if you do, then it does not really help your case in ensuring that what you have done has improved the equipment. Okay. Define the project boundaries. We talked about that. Identify the project team. That's key. You want a cross-functional team. It includes maintenance, supervisors, management, quality, and safety. At the very least, that would be at least 5 people. You don't need them all the time, but you're going to need them during problem solving, going to the Gemba. The Gemba is where the action is, where the problem is occurring. And so you can bounce ideas, brainstorm, understand what's going on, and get their expertise so that you don't have to be the only expert. Okay? Define the process to be improved by creating a high-level process map. And that's really understanding the ins and outs of your project. How far am I going to improve? Am I going to just do the first half, the second half? Do I have to go all the way upstream or downstream? Those are the questions you really want to know when you're in the define phase. Really define the problem so that you know what is in and out using the 5W1H, is not tool, the SIPOC, supplier, input, process, output, customer. The project charter will wrap that all up. Use your process map so that you can really define those boundaries, and use the CTQ tree to really understand what it is that the customer wants. And your customer is internal. What are your internal customers, not only your external? Because you may not have an external customer, but you will always have those internal customers. Once we have defined a good project, we're going to go into the measure phase, and we're going to measure those CTQs that we developed in the define phase, and we're going to do a preliminary measurement. Now, the best thing that you can do is get the historical data on your problem, and then once you understand the historical data and you've done the data analysis, and this program will help you understand that, how to really read the data. For me, data has always been innate. And I think it's because I started at Intel, where everything is data-driven. Everyone has a really thorough grasp of statistics. So my job, my first 5 years as an engineer, was analyzing data and statistics on optics. So it became inbred. But that doesn't mean that it's easy for everyone. And not everything is easy for myself either. So we'll do that together, okay? Evaluate measurement and data collection system. So once we go out, we know what we want to measure, we measure it, then we're going to evaluate, okay? But number one thing is we need to make sure that whatever we're measuring it with, whatever equipment or any way that we can identify what the problem really is and what that is, how it's affecting the process, we want to do an MSA. With an MSA, which is a preliminary MSA, Measurement Systems Analysis, is really scoping out that particular machine, if it's a microscope, if it is a caliper, any of those ways to measure what the problem is, even if it's a yes/no. This can be a binary project where it's either yes or no, discrete data, yes, no. And if that's the case, then you can still do that. Do all of the people doing the measurements, do they all know, or is there any gray in that yes and no? Make sure that everybody that is doing the testing of that in quality, they all know what a yes is and what a no is, and really, really, really define that gray area. Now we're going to collect the data to evaluate the process current state. So get that data going and then create a detailed process map. Now in the define phase, we did a gross process map. Now we're going to narrow down and really go into what that issue is. What is that process map? What from A to Z, and then A dot A, like that. So you really want to get deep down into that, and we'll show you examples. And then create, refine problem statement, and update the project charter. So within the information that we've learned, we're going to take the project charter and we're going to modify it accordingly. Now, one of the questions you're going to be asked, and if you decide to go through and get your ASQ Green Belt, is the project charter set in stone? The answer is no. It's a living document. Okay. The tools you might use: Lean Six Sigma metrics, DPU, DPO, DPMO, yield, Sigma level. We're going to use gauge R&R, control charts, capability analysis, and process mapping, and measurement systems analysis. We're going to go over quite a bit of how do you do measurement systems analysis, even for discrete data. Analyze a process to determine the root causes of variation, the poor performance defects, okay? What is it? And we're going to analyze and identify the gaps between current performance and the goal performance. What is it that we want to achieve? What are we doing now? Okay. Identify potential sources of variability using the fishbone, the 5Y, the 7QC tools, like the affinity chart. Identify the critical X factors of the process that affect the Y significantly. So we're going to go into Y equals F of X, where F of X is the individual X's. So what are those X's? Those deep independent variables that affect the dependent variable Y. We're going to prioritize opportunities to improve. So we're going to be making some priority charts. Some Pareto charts, which is the 80-20 rule. And we're going to go after those top 20 from the 80-20 rule. And we're going to go really in depth into Pareto charts in this course. Identify objective statistical procedures and confidence limits. So we're looking at inference statistics, and we're going to go heavily into what is inferential statistics, and we're going to use those tools throughout this entire program. Okay, so we got 7 QC tools. Those are the basic easy tools that you might use in a root cause analysis. Test of hypothesis. So what kind of hypothesis test are we going to use? Is the data normal? If it's normal, then we're going to use normal histogram. We're going to use a normal hypothesis test. It's like a t-test, two-test step for equal or unequal variances. We're going to look at if it's not normal. And this is the caveat. If it's not normal, you want to use a mood median test. And I'm going to go into heavily detail of what hypothesis tests there are, when and when not to use them, what they look like, and not only looking at how do we calculate it in software, but also can we calculate it in Excel, and I have some Excel spreadsheets that will help you calculate that, as well as Excel can do those tests now. And we can also do it by hand, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so process map, multivariance charts, those come. And then process mapping, so value stream mapping, we do have that. That'll be in our lean portion of this. Control charts, and then DOE and regression. That's when we're setting up our DOE. As the analyze phase gives us those critical factors that we want to look at so that we can fine tune that DOE. Then the next phase is the improve phase. Improve process performance by addressing and eliminating the root causes, developing and implementing solutions. So this is where we're trying out the pilots. This is where we've come up with the solution and we're going to test it. This is where we're going to do the DOE, okay, in practice. And it's also where we're going to fine tune the equipment at the end. So we're going to create innovative solutions using technology and disciplines. We're going to develop and deploy improvement solution plans. We're going to create a detailed image of the improved process. So this is your value stream map. What is current state versus future state? Verified effectiveness of the changes, and then perform a risk analysis. If I make this improvement, will it have any effect on anything that we didn't think about, and what are we going to do if it does? So those are risk, okay? And then the type of test tools that we're going to use is test a hypothesis, DOE or regression, or both. FMEA, which is your failure mode effect analysis, or your process mode effect analysis. So are we looking at equipment? So we would use the FMEA. Are we looking at process, which becomes the process mode effect analysis? We're going to do some more process mapping. That's where we do the future state. And then we may apply, depending on what the issue is, 5S and Kaizen to implement the standard work. Then in the control phase, we're going to control the improved process. We've made the solutions. We're going to start standardizing now. We're going to make sure that everybody's trained. Everybody understands how to do this, when to do this, why to do this, so that we can get buy-in from the people that this mostly impacts, which is the front end operators. They get affected the most, so they must buy in, because you can do a really awesome project, but if nobody buys into it, it isn't going to happen and it isn't going to get improved. So just remember to always get the buy-in from those people. And so how do I get buy-in? You make them your team members. You make them a part of this. And always remember that they probably have the solution already. They are there all the time. It's just as if they're driving a car and this is their car. They're the first ones that are going to hear that ding on the car. They're the first one who's going to know that the tire is going flat. So it is a great opportunity for you to meet the people and for you to get them involved. All right. Then at each phase, it is typical that you're going to want to do a toll gate, which is an assessment between your coach and the people on the floor and all those people that are important to the process. So it may be the equipment owner, it may be the process owner, it may be your own manager, it may be the leadership team within the company itself, or it might be higher ups. So it really depends. And there's typically a toll gate between the define phase, the measure phase, the analyze phase, the improve phase, and the control phase. A typical Six Sigma project Usually it takes 1 to 2 weeks in define, 2 to 6 weeks in measure, 2 to 3 weeks in analyze, 6 to 8 weeks in improve, and 1 to 2 weeks in control. Between each one of these steps is a toll gate. So what is a toll gate? It's a temporary stopping point for a project that brings the management and all those people we just talked about together, maybe over Teams, maybe in person, to discuss our findings through each phase, making sure that we have satisfied the requirements of each phase before we move to the next. Toll gates ensure the project team is following the process. The tools are being used correctly. The team has the proper resources, the project is on schedule, and the team is fully engaged. If the team is not fully engaged, if you do not have the support of your management, this is where you ask for that. If you need equipment or expenses, or you have expenses, or you need capital, this is where you get those people involved. So guidelines for creating a dynamic storyboard. So you may have a presentation. You may decide, maybe it's a verbal and you just show a few charts. Maybe it's an extensive PowerPoint where you and your management team have decided on the way they want to see a project portrayed through each phase. So the dynamic storyboard is used to tell the story of the project. Avoid bogging the story down with templates and tools that don't add to the storyline. So if you can tell the story without adding a bunch of complex charts, then we recommend that you do that, because other people may not be used to looking at the data and may be a little bit confused. So if you can just show a simple diagram of how things are going to work, you show the improvement, then that's the best way to do it. Templates and tools should be used throughout the project. Documentation and conclusions verified by the coach and the sponsor. However, they do not need to be displayed on the storyboard unless they add something. So just like we were talking about, don't have to add that information, those charts, unless it adds to the story. Think of the storyboard as a billboard. So how do I broadcast what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, what achievements we've made, what are the quick wins, what do we need help with, what are the expenses, what is the capital that we need, who do we need also included in this project, whose support do we need. Ensure to leave enough room for all 5 phases on the storyboard. So as you go throughout, typically if you go to the production floor, you may see this or you may not, but there is typically a storyboard out there for each project, especially if you're on the production line, such as a Ford company or Intel company, other companies such as that, or even a Nestle company that likes to display where each line is. It is a big part of TPM, Total Productive Maintenance, as we implement that throughout as the backbone of our systems. This storyboard becomes quite important. All right. So you don't have to worry about that. If you have any questions during the training, I will be available you can contact me in the comments or you can email me at any time. I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. I will not do your homework for you. So if you are going through a course, do not ask me to do your homework for you. I will point you in the right direction, but I will not give you the answers. Unless it's one of the questions that is in my material or in the ASQ Greenbelt material, and you really need help with that. All right. Thank you, and thank you for joining me today.
Please join us on our website at lean6sigmaprowess.com, where you will find a plethora of training materials, courses, study aids, quizzes, Excel apps, and other helpful information which will assist you in your continuous improvement journey. Thank you.